ask a question. Look, we are not here to legitimize Zanu PF election. This is a Zanu PF arrangement with Swapo PF and ECN PF. But we have decided to be here because this is our country. It doesn't belong to them. These people, they are paid with taxpayers' money in their activities, so we will not surrender the ECN and the institutions to these criminals. We will not surrender our country to those people, because once we do that, once we surrender our space, they must know, we must be here to tell them on their faces that we don't agree with an election that wasn't free.
So what's your next step?
Hold on. You saw that even you as journalists were not even allowed to ask questions, and that's why we're concerned about that. The arrogance of this commission, the incompetence of this commission, and it's a very problematic thing for all of us. So we are here to see whatever it is that they're announcing and saying, and it doesn't mean that we endorse, and there are many ways. So we're very strategic. We run our campaigns very differently. Even you as members of the media, we were writing and saying, yeah, we don't have rallies, we don't have what, but people with rallies from these Zanu PF results, they've indicated to you that it's not always these rallies that are important. Yeah, so we are not here to legitimize anything, and we maintain our position that these elections were not free and fair. It's a corrupt machinery. You have seen that the corrupt regime has been on a path of decline. At one point they were at 70-something, then they came to 60-something, now they're at 51. Yeah? So these Zanu PF results basically tells you that if the corrupt regime doesn't have 2 MPs, yeah, or 3 members of parliament, they have to constantly be there. They will not even have to be able to have a simple majority. This is a regime that is declining. They used to be in the 80s, in the 60s. Now all of them, I think the person who's allegedly won the president is what? It's 51? What's the percentage? 57. Yeah? Journalists, you're not aware of this?
Riyadh.
She apparently is at what? Yeah, so the regime is declining. Even in a rigged election, even in an election that they've stolen, even in the election that has been run and supervised by Zanu PF, the regime is declining. Previously they lost about 14, now they lost 12, and they are declining. You understand why they needed to rig the election. You understand why, because even when they rigged the election, they couldn't even have come up with a believable number, because it was also very difficult. How do you then explain an election that is run by foreigners? That's why we are concerned as nationalists. The ER movement, as you know, we are a radical movement with a political party license. You must understand there's a difference. We are not a political party. So you always, journalists, why are you not joining other opposition? We are not opposition. Even that term that is used, we are not opposition. We are a radical force of our people, and we are concerned. We are concerned. It tells us that all of us, regardless of your background, whether you're in media or whatever journalist you are, we need to be able to protect these people. We need to be able to fight these people. We need to be able to defeat these people, because this is a fundamental problem that we have. So of course we are not happy, and people are rejoicing and congratulating and saying sort of things that you could see what is basically happening here is a rehearsal. Journalists couldn't even ask questions. What type of country are we living in that journalists can't even ask questions to this commission? The fundamental question that we must ask, are we going to a next election with this type of people? Are we going to live in the country governed by this type of people? And you can see that all of them are neighbors. Even when they are doing those acceptance speeches, you can see that the president is not convinced that they've won an election. So it's a big problem. It is important, because once we stay away, these type of people, they must see that there are people who are here, looking at them face to face, indicating that they are not happy. So we needed to be here and speak to you in an ECN building. It doesn't belong to them. It belongs to us as Namibians. Because if we stay away, it basically means that we would have created an impression that we are surrendering all our institutions. So we are here to fight and demonstrate symbolically and actually that we don't agree, and our institutions do not belong to them. So for us, it's not, we know that there are people who are claiming that this and that, and you hear a lot of things. Our institutions are being overtaken. You saw, for example, the NBC was improving, for instance, but you saw that even the NBC interviewed Mubida, a candidate in the list in the top 10 or so, and they called him a political analyst. Yeah? a candidate who's participating in the election. So our institutions have been politicized, have been taken over by the corrupt regime. So we are not celebrating anything. We are here to tell you where we stand, and we're also here to communicate to you that we are going to fight. For us, it's not some other thing where people are now going to buy suits and do what. No. Yeah. So we stand that the elections are not free and fair, and we are considering our options as we've indicated. But it's even these results of theirs is a very interesting indictment. Not only that the regime have lost the moral high ground, the regime have lost the election to an extent that, because remember in parliament, the simple majority that you need to have is 49. They surpass the simple majority, the 50+1, with 2, according to the Zanu PF results, that we obviously believe that these are not a proper result that are supposed to do that. So it's important for us to understand we must never ever surrender our institution, including the NBC. We must never ever surrender our institution to this corrupt regime. NBC doesn't belong to Swapo, it belongs to us. New Era belongs to us. ECN belongs to us. All these institutions of state belong to us. So once we stay away, we create an impression to these people that it's their space, they can do whatever. That's why they can behave the way they are behaving. Yeah. So when we came here, there were some guys from protocol and they were saying, yeah, we are waiting for who to see this, and then nonsense. You are not talking to us here. This is our building also as Namibians. We told them we're not going to move. So it's very important. We're just trying to explain your question when you ask why are we here. We should be here because it doesn't belong to them. We are not going to surrender to anybody in this country. We're going to continue to fight every space that we get in our country. We are going to continue to fight. We are not celebrating. We are not buying suits.
So, Professor, what's the fight going to be?
What is the fight?
And you say you are not opposition. Do you support?
One person at a time. We will answer. We're capable of answering all your questions. Listen.
Yes, you said you're gonna put on a fight. What's the fight going to be?
No, we are talking about fights at 2 levels. One is that we believe this election were not free and fair. We had a press conference where we articulated that positions already, and we are considering in terms of what options are available. That's one part of the fight. But the other fight that we are talking about is a continuous fight to resist the corrupt regime. The fight that we've been doing, and the same fight that we are doing here. So we are not here to celebrate or whatever it is, because us, we are in the battle. This is for us is a fight. Your question was?
My question was, you said you are not opposition, so I just wanted to find out, does that mean you are not supporting IPC's application against this results?
No.
What does that mean?
Because remember what you're saying about the AR movement, one of the important things about our movement is consciousness. We need our people to be conscious. You see, even journalists, a party is registered today, doesn't have any representation, but journalists are already calling it an opposition. What is an opposition? So we also carry a responsibility to educate our people to understand properly. Your opposition basically means it comes from the British tradition, where you have a ruling party seat. It's a sitting arrangement. You are sitting on the other side and the other one are sitting on the opposite side. The one that are ruling happen to sit on this side. The one that are not ruling sits on the other side in opposition to those ones that are ruling. So those people who are sitting on the other side are called opposition. So now this term has been thrown around, even before you contest any election. Already, this Zanu PF result has just been announced today, and then people are already, before the result, before the contest, we are already in opposition. We are not in opposition. We are a political party, radical movement with a political party license. Yeah. So we don't identify as opposition. So if Swapo stands up and say the elections were not free and fair, we know they are not going to do it. We are issue driven. We don't unite just because we are short.
Yes, another question I wanted to find out is you're saying
the first question, right?
yes, you answered my first, but then the next question is that you say that these elections were not free and fair.
Absolutely.
I wanted to find out from you, will you take up those seats that you got in the National Assembly, although you are saying that the elections were not free and fair?
We're talking about two things. We're talking about election, in these Zanu PF results. Yeah? So there's a lot of things that you could do. We are in court, for example. We don't believe in the red line, but every time we come there, the red line, they come and take our meat. Yeah. So we will have to determine what are we going to do. But immediately, for us, is that we are trying to speak about in terms of what is our identity and how do we view things. We don't agree with this Zanu PF election result, so we are aggrieved with this Zanu PF result. But of course, we do accept that we need to fight. The fight, you can either win it or lose it. Of course, we hope that there's a rerun. It's the best option for Namibia. Yeah, I mean, we don't even need to convince you. Even you as journalists, some of you stood in queues for 5 hours. You couldn't get an opportunity to vote. So we don't need to convince anybody about this thing. So we would hope that there must be a rerun in this election. It's the best decision any person. I would have thought that everyone would believe that this is a sham election. You have people who are, where have you heard that people are voting and the results have been announced at the same polling station? You are in the queue, but on your phone, you are already seeing the results of the polls where you are voting. What type of nonsense is that? So it's a very problematic issue. That's why we are saying our position is to fight, and we need to continue fighting.
Yes, I don't think you answered my question. My question is, will you take up the seats, yes or no?
No, yes or no is for those who don't know what they are talking about. I'm trying to explain to you what our take do. That's why I'm even giving you an example. We are in court fighting the red line, but we do accept that when you come with the meat, they are going to confiscate it. Okay, maybe let me simplify it for you. Okay, we want a rerun, but obviously if we don't get the rerun, you have voted for us probably. Yes, your vote is your secret, but so the people of Namibia want these young people to go and represent them. But if we lose the fight, we will be left with no choice but to occupy those seats. Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? So you're all covered, eh?
Yes, we're all covered.
Do you believe the media will be free in the next regime?
Well, it's
looking at what happened just now.
Look, the problem I have, particularly when you see what is happening with the media, is that journalists need to be able to liberate themselves. There's a serious disconnect between journalists and editors. For instance, look at the newspaper. On the front page of one newspaper today, the headline says AR and LPM undecided about the legal challenge, but the intro says that AR have decided to challenge. So which one is which? So we accept that, we understand that the headlines are done by editors and editors are controlled by the politicians. So you journalists, you need to wage your own struggles. Yeah. So, and we are concerned about how journalists are treated. There are a lot of journalists who write nonsense about us, but we are the first one to defend their rights to write, even nonsense about us. But we are concerned about what is happening with the media. We don't believe this regime wants a free media. The same treatment that you receive from from this KCN is exactly the same thing that happens with Swapo when you guys attend and cover those events. So our institutions are politicized, our police is politicized, our journalists are politicized. You see that young man there, brilliant young man, but he behaves exactly the same how the regime behaves. Yeah, but he's a brilliant young man who ought to answer the questions. We like him, but you can see he's drinking from that same cup of suppressing the journalists. So you have a struggle to wage, you also as journalists. But we are there, we will be supporting you. Even when you write funny things, this year you are a typical example. You write a lot of funny things about us. But we are concerned.
I don't write about your job. Just one more question.
Job, yeah.
Yes, I
we
one more.
Agree.
Yes,
I hope I'm answering the question. I'll come to you. But we agree. We don't believe that there's going to be a free media. We actually think that it's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. So we need to fight. You need to fight. We will also take up that fight where it's necessary.
Yes.
Do you answer the question?
Yes, my other question is.
She didn't ask.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
You are saying that the role of, it's important to you that there's a free media, and you are saying you're very concerned about how the media is treated. Why do you think it's important that the media is treated fairly and that there is transparency?
Why do I think that it's important that the media is treated fairly? I mean, is it not when you're in the dark room and somebody comes with light, then you are able to see where your food is and where your bed is? Is that person not important? Logically, because the media is that other eyes that we don't have. So it's very important for us. It's important philosophically, it's also important practically. Because the regime, any corrupt regime, function very well in darkness. So the media, for us, how we view the media, is one that puts spotlight on many important issues, not just negative, but also positive. Sometimes you underestimate, there are people who just are heartbroken and they wake up in the morning and they read something in the newspaper, it just brightens up their days. Never underestimate the role that you play. There might be a person who wants to commit suicide and you write a story about community engagement, or another person who wanted to commit suicide, and then you save a life. You don't see that. But it's a very important thing for us. Decision?
Yes, I'm back again. The question I want to ask is, of course, First of all, if you read my writing, you would know that you will not be saying that it's nonsense. And second of all, no. Second of all, I wanted to find out from you, did you expect this performance, looking at this performance that AR has done, is it something you expected or you expected to perform better?
Well, this, according to this, remember, we're very clear, we are saying these are Zanu PF results. So we wanted to see what is contained in terms of this result. Look, you as journalists even wrote off the AR movement. You write in your editorial who are the so-called top 5 parties. And we say, no, AR, they don't hold rallies, we don't have money from Chinese, we don't have money from London, we don't have anything, we don't have influencers from Zimbabwe. We just run our campaign in our own way. When they are in those rallies, we are in communities talking to the masses of our people. So we knew that our message will find its rightful place. It will go to the hearts of the masses of our people, and then they will be able to do that. So we are not surprised. We knew very well that we ran a unique campaign, and people, when we are in those communities, there are people who are saying, I'm going to vote for you guys. So we knew what was basically happening. Namibia is an ageist, because we see the AR movement, when we are very happy, you see for some reason, presidential candidates are performing better in these Zanu PF results. They are performing better than their political parties. What does it mean? It means that there are a bunch of organizations that the masses of our people don't have confidence in. But it's the direct opposite in the AR movement. So this narrative that the media has always been projecting about Job and what, you see, some other, in these Zanu PF results, some other places will get even 5. Some polling stations, Job will get 0 as a candidate, but the AR movement will get most of the. So this whole narrative that the media has been, oh, these are unserious young people, but the result also, these Zanu PF results also demonstrate this ageist mentality. And you could see that the older the candidate, the so-called Zanu PF result, the older the candidate, the higher the type of votes that they get in this Zanu PF presidential result. So we are very happy with our campaign. We are not surprised. We are not we're not gambling, we don't do betting. So we know very well the amount of work that we put in and the result that we expect. So we're not surprised at all.
Okay. Good evening. Maybe perhaps from Kavetu, legally, what options do you have to challenge this election? 1, 2, Parliament obviously. Parliament obviously will present a different avenue for the AR movement. And you've got the land indigenization bill. We have the red line fight still ongoing. Are these some fights that you also intend to take to Parliament?
Oh, you want me to answer our campaign?
Yeah, legally, what options do you have to challenge the elections?
Yeah, I think it's quite very clear that the revenue available is to challenge the elections outcome in the announcement. And that basically takes us straight to the Supreme Court. I think that's the immediate legal revenue that is available for any political party. And I think the second part of the question, as Prof said, we will have to pass the first test, and obviously if we are left with no option, we live in a constitutional democracy. If you are not happy with the decision, take it to court, but if the court pronounce themselves, you will have to abide by that decision. And that means we'll have to continue our fight in Parliament itself. Yes.
Okay, so yes, I mean, look, we are not there to change. When we reach that stage, we are not going to identify as, we are not buying suits, and that's an opportunity to fight. We are not going to identify with that institution because we don't believe that that parliament is a useful institution. In its current form, it's a stooge or Swapo. It receives bills and they just motion and nothing substantive. So we don't think we are going to identify with the institution until and unless we control it and we are able to deal with those dynamics. But the beautiful thing is this Zanu PF results. Basically, so this corrupt regime need to make sure always that all their people are present, because 2 of them that are sick, or if one had diarrhea and another one went out of the country, they are in problems already. So it will be very interesting to see what is it that they are
doing. Maybe my last question, Prof.
So we, in other words, all those things that you're talking about, the red line, the land indigenization bill, and all those institutions, nothing is going to change. We are not going to identify with that institution. Our fight is still going to continue, and we need to.
Okay. if things go ahead this way, and Vice President Tubonani Daito is in fact sworn in as President of the Republic, and for some reason she identifies you as one of those that should constitute her executive, is it something that you think?
At the current moment, what we are concerned about is the air movement, not necessarily deals. That's why, before this election, we took a conscious decision that we are not meeting with any external, this so-called SADC election observer and all of that. We decided that we are not meeting with them. So our concern is not the external people at this stage. So we are still locked in the room, deciding what is it that we want to be able to do, and we're not motivated by deals. We will have to study what does this election result mean. So we still have to call the leadership collective to come and see, okay, what is basically happening in leadership, how many people do we have, if everything remains and this Zanu PF things is upheld. And then we are not concerned immediately. That's not a question that we are entertaining and concerning ourselves, because you don't just set yourself out to go and be part of the plans of outsiders when you have not done the evaluation yourself.